Hello. Welcome to Combining Volume, Lesson 12-3. I'm going to try my best to kind of create something that you can kind of use to kind of help you understand what the lesson is for the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and go through the R pages with you. If you have questions, or if I'm going too fast, you can certainly just hit pause now. I will do my best to answer questions. You can use Google Classroom. I'll be online as well to try and help you out. So as you remember last time, we kind of talked about how we do volume. And volume is just length, width, and height. So you can kind of times those three things all together. So if I had this box, Ticket to Ride, and I said, well, the length is, let's say, 12 inches, and the height is 12 inches, and the width is 3 inches, you just go 12 times 12, which would be 144. You multiply that by 3. Again, that's how you find the volume. That was yesterday's lesson. Some of you guys did a great job of kind of finding objects around your house and kind of making sure that you were practicing that a little yesterday. If you missed that because you just didn't do work yesterday, whatever, we're going to kind of go on today's lesson. So today's lesson is doing the same thing. It's finding volume, but this time it'd be like if I had two objects that were stacked together. So if I find the volume of like this, which would be Ticket to Ride, and then this little dog thing on the top. So the trick to do this is kind of think about this one object as two objects. So what you're going to do is you're going to find the volume of this object, and then the volume of this object, and then you're just going to add them together. So if the volume of this one was, let's say, 75 units cubed, and this was, I don't know, 500 units cubed, you just go 75 plus 500. So it's pretty much what we did yesterday, just kind of adding a little step to it. And you can see our first example on the top of our page on 12-3. We have this little guy right here. And you can see we have two rectangular prisms kind of put together. The trick within this is you actually have to figure out where are you splitting them up. So the book kind of has it, well, we're just going to split it right here. So this is going to be our natural break. So you can see at this point, you have a rectangular prism going this way, and another one going this way. So you're going to have to find the volume of this one, and then the volume of this one, and kind of add them together. And that's what we're doing. So if we find the volume of this one, and we see that the height is 7, the length is 1, we just have to find the third measurement. Well, if we know that this one is 4, we know that this one's 4. Because we can see that they're the same. Not really with my drawings, but in the book they are. So then we go 7 times 4 times 1, and the volume of this guy is going to be 28. Because again, volume is length times width times height. Now we got that, we're going to try and do our small one. You can see our small one, if this whole thing was 3, but this little part was 2. And this little part was 2. So we have 2 times 2, and then going back is 4. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then 4 times 4 is 16. So now we have this one is 16, this one's 28. So we're trying to find our combined volume. So 28 plus 16. Sorry if you can't see, I'm going to try my best to write it a little harder. 8 plus 6 is 14. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 44. Again, we need to have a label on here. So in this case, it's going to be feet. And because we found 3 different measurements, it's going to be feet cubed. We talked about that. It's always going to be cubed at the end. So that's our example. So if you go on to number 1, it says, show 2 ways of dividing this. And what that's saying is, like we said, we can't just find the volume of this right now. This is not a rectangular prism. So what we have to do is we have to figure out, well, what can we do to make these into rectangular prisms? So what that means is we would kind of take like a saw and kind of cut it as we need to. So you could cut it like this. And then now you have this little chunk and this little chunk. Or you can cut it like this. And now you have this chunk and then this tall chunk. Again, either way, it's going to get you the same volume. You'll have different measurements, and that's okay. But once you combine them in the end, you should have the same volume because it's just adding this chunk and this chunk, or this chunk and that chunk. So really, in the end, it's going to get you the same answer, but it's just taking a little different way to get there. So that was number one, kind of looking at how can we actually cut a cube. Now, the one thing I want to stress is this. You cannot cut it diagonally. Can anybody tell me why you can't cut it diagonally? Nobody? Weak. Anyway, the reason you can't cut it diagonally is because if you had a diagonal line, it wouldn't be a rectangular prism, because rectangular prisms have all like 90-degree angles and stuff like that. So make sure when you're cutting it, you have those 90-degree angles. So like this or like this. Heck, you could cut it like this as well, just have this, this, and that. But that's just gonna add a little bit more work, so you probably don't want to do that. So that was number one. Number two, we're gonna kind of go through this one together. Again, if I'm going too fast, you can kind of slow down, you can hit pause, and then kind of figure out what you're going to do. So for this one, take a moment and kind of think about how would you cut this so you can put it into two different rectangular cubes. Alexa, Jeopardy music, please.
This might answer your question. The Jeopardy soundtrack includes Jeopardy theme, think, and Jeopardy theme.
Always disappointing, Alexa. You did one job. So now that we uncomfortably had Alexa not help us at all, we're going to go on to this. So you could look at this and you could say, well, I'm going to cut it right here. Like this. And notice when you cut it, you have this and then this. So when we combine our volume, we're just going to have this box and we're going to add to this box. That's one way you could have done it. You could have done it the other way, like this. So you have this long rectangular box on the bottom, and then this little baby box on top. Again, you're going to notice my drawings aren't perfect. And deal with it. For me personally, I'm going to go with this one. There's no real reason or rhyme or whatever. That's just kind of what I want to do. So if I have this box, I'm going to have to find the different measurements. Again, length times width times height. That's the most important thing. For finding volume of rectangular prisms or cubes is always the length times width times height. So in this case, we have our length. And our length is going to be 4. So we have 4, because that's our length. We know it's 4 back here, so it's going to be 4 up here. Now we have our height, and our height is going to be 3. And now we have our width, and our width is 8. Again, according to the cumulative property, we can multiply in whatever order we want. It doesn't matter. So in my mind, I might do 8 times 3 first, and then multiply by 4. I could do 4 times 3 first, and multiply by 8. Heck, I could do 8 times 4 multiplied by 3. It doesn't matter. You can just do whatever you want to do. I'm just going to start left to right because that's easiest. 4 times 3 I know is 12. And because I know my 12s, I know 12 times 8 is 96. Or maybe I don't know my 12s, so I break up this 12 into 10 and 2. 10 times 8 is 80, plus 2 times 8, which is 16. 80 plus 16 is 96. Either way, this volume is 96. Cool, done, did that. Now we have to go on to the second one before we can figure out the total volume of this entire shape. So we have to figure out, okay, this one's 96, let's figure out this one. So we know our length is going to be 3. We see 3 right there. We know our height is going to be 4 because it says it. And we know our width is going to be 8. So here's going to be the challenging thing within this. You're going to have to look at these numbers and think to yourself, what are the 3 measurements I need? Length, width, height. Because there's a lot more numbers in here than you need for that. So you're going to have to use a little bit of like, okay, those are my 3 measurements I need, and then kind of ignore the rest of them. So we have 4, and then 8, and then this was 3 as well. Very similar to the other one, and that's okay. So we have 4 times 3, which is 12, times 8, which is 96 again. So we have 96 and 96. 96 on both of those. So if I did 96 on both of those, again, when I'm combining volume, I just add them up. 96 and 96. 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 9 is 19. 192. Thank you for reminding me. We need our label. Centimeters cubed. And that's what you're going to be doing today. So the lesson on the next page, you're going to be having to figure out combined volume of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different questions. What I'm going to ask you to do is, I'm going to ask you to do questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So just 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Cool. Once you get done with those 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, I'll have the answers posted that you can kind of double check and see how it worked. I'll also try and make myself available. If you have questions, you can pop online. You can ask me questions as well. But again, I'm asking you to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'll be some ancillary things as well on top of it, like Redbird or whatever other activities I'm putting on. But again, today's lesson for combining volume, I'm just asking you to do questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then kind of double check on the answers. I get it. You could 100% just say, I'm not doing this, and just write in the answers. I don't know how to fix that, but what I'm going to just say is try your best. Don't cheat yourself out of this. And if you have questions, please let me know. I'll do my best to kind of create some sort of tutorial, whether it's me finding a video online or me creating the video each day that kind of will help you within this. We'll see how it works. If you have any clarification, again, contact me. If you have feedback, as in Mr. Chambrock, you talk too fast or whatever else, you can tell me that as well. I'm Big Boy, I can handle those things. So that's all I'm gonna say. Have fun doing math. Later.
That was a long one.